Morning guys, welcome to Bow Hunting Soul. Want to do a quick little video about the difference between honing a knife and sharpening a knife. And what this thing is right here. You've probably seen this, it's probably in your butcher's block. And a lot of people call this a sharpener. It's not a sharpener. This is called a butcher's steel or a hone. If you take a look at it, it's got ribs that run this way, longitudinally. It's not actually a sharpener. It doesn't have any teeth that actually cut or reshape the surface of a blade or anything like that as far as removing metal. What it is it hones an edge. Now what happens when we use, now here's just like a boning knife. It's kind of like a stiff fillet knife, but it's a boning knife. What happens to the edge of this, when we originally set an edge, it's a nice, it's a nice straight edge. Through use, what happens is the microscopic edge kind of tends to do one of these. Okay, the very tip is kind of brittle. Well, not brittle. Well, it can be brittle, but the tip isn't very strong. There's not a lot of beef there. So through regular use, it feels like it's getting dull, but it's not really dull. So for the purposes of demonstration, I've got this little piece of paper here, right? Pretend this is the edge of your blade. Nice and sharp. It goes, down along a ridge. Okay. Now through regular use, what'll happen, this is vastly exaggerated, of course. We're talking along the microscopic edge a little bit, at the very, very tip. So what ends up happening is it kind of gets, I don't know if you can see that very well, it kind of gets wavy. Okay. Like the tip is still straight. Maybe I'll do more of an exaggeration here. Sorry, the tip isn't straight. The tip is still sharp, but the line isn't straight. Think of it like see how crooked that is in some places? It kind of goes like this, okay? Think of it like a line of mountains. The peaks of the mountains are still straight, but if you look down, the mountain range kind of winds around. The peaks are still nice and sharp, but they're not all in a straight line. So what a hone does, or what a butcher steel does, like that, is it basically takes this, and it's the effect of doing this. It realigns the edge, okay? So that, well, got a bent corner here. But basically, when it realigns the edge, that is, as straight as I can get it, that brings it nice and into a dead straight line again. Remember, the peaks are still sharp. It's just over time, when you're using any kind of knife, the edge just kind of wavers. And what also sometimes happens is the very tip will kind of curl over one way or curl over the other way. So it kind of ends up like stuff to show on a big piece of paper here. It kind of does one of these or one of these. And it kind of rolls over. So what you're doing with a butcher steel is you're basically realigning that edge in a nice straight line. Now, chefs will show you the proper way to do it is, this way, and you can actually feel it when you're actually moving metal. So you do this a bunch of times, and then the proper way to do it is to go away from you, obviously. For some reason, I've always done this and done this. Well, I'm bringing the knife to me. I don't recommend that because one of these days it's going to slip, get past the guard. But I do this. But the right way to do it is away from you, and then flip it over, and then same deal. And you can't really pick that up on the video, but when it folds over, you can actually hear it. It's audible, depending on how bad it is. You can actually hear that metal getting folded back over. And you do that a bunch of times, and basically what that'll do is it'll keep moving that. It'll align it in a straight line. And if you really wanted to, you could actually strop it. You can do it on a piece of leather. You can do it on your jeans. You can do it on your jeans if your wife's not around and they don't see you doing it. But that's basically what that does. It just takes a nice straight edge that's already straight. It's not chipped. It's not broken. It's just kind of out of line. And then when you do that, it puts it back in line. That's what a steel is. You can actually do that with a pocket knife too. If you take one pocket knife or any other knife really, let's say it's one of these, and you're kind of in a pinch and your knife that you use or whatever just isn't feeling dull, you can actually go like this too. Drag it backwards, and you'd be amazed at how much sharper your the edge actually feels. And you can, again, just kind of strop it on your jeans or whatever if there's any kind of microscopic burr on the tip, and then that'll get rid of that. So again, not a sharpener, it's a hone. It's a butcher's steel. This is called honing or steeling a blade. And if you keep doing that, actually I do it every single time I take it out of the butcher block and use it before I cut anything like that. So if you keep doing that, then you're gonna have to sharpen less, because a lot of people will then take this and then put it, you know, if you happen to sharpen by yourself or whatever, put it on a belt sander, put it on a shit sander, put it on on a sharpening stone, and they're just removing metal. Now, if you really abuse your knives, and over time, what does happen is, like, this microscopic edge does get kind of chips, you know, and tears, you know, and chunks and stuff taken out of it. Then yeah, then that is dull. You're never gonna do that. Then the only way to do that is to actually take away material and re-profile and get a new, brand new edge. Okay, that's different when you've got, you know, chunks missing, you know, like chunks missing out of the tip of your blade. Okay, that's different. Okay, but for most purposes, do one of these, and you're good to go. You wouldn't believe the difference in sharpness. So if you like this, if this is helpful, and you can do this in the field, by the way, you can do, like I said, you can do it with your other knives, pocket knives, one against the other. So if you happen to be boning out an animal or keeping an animal or whatever, it starts to get a little bit dull, just kind of hone it up a little bit. You don't always necessarily have to take it to the ceramic blade. So anyway, if this was helpful, like, share, and subscribe. And go ahead and visit www.stickshirts.com. We've got some, I've actually changed this design. This is an older one, but I've got a really nice newer I Fling Arrows design and a couple other bow hunting designs. So really appreciate it if you go check that out. I'll leave the link for the t-shirts below. And if you found this useful, please share this video, and I'd like to hear your comments about how you like to sharpen anything. So thanks for joining. Bye.